So, even though this is not the factory radio, the screws that hold it in still fit into these holes. So I think I should be able to just take this bottom plate off. And if I can somehow attach it to this one, which it looks like right now it won't because of these tabs, but maybe I can cut the tabs off and cut these little screw holes out. And actually, I might be able to pull these tabs up and slide it under there. Okay, let's try that.
So from what I can find online, it looks like the radio that was in this truck when I got it came out of either a JDM Integra or a JDM Accord. Whoever put it in definitely did not do a good job because they had the wires all crossed, and I think that blew this radio as well as the speaker, which is why we got to replace it.
Sammy, what are you doing?
What are you doing, Cat?
She's like, I'm exploring the area.
I think that's going to work.
Well, that looks pretty good. Now I just need to find out if it actually fits. Okay, got it. So if your Acty does not come with AC from the factory, you don't need to do any of the stuff that I'm doing here, but since mine does have AC, I need to remove all the center trim pieces so I can get the AC ducting out of the way since it's blocking the screws that hold the radio in.
Nice. Well, the test fit is a success because I got that bolt threaded in there, so I know that I will be able to make that work. Now I've got to take it back out.
These wire cutters that I'm using here are awesome. They're small little wire cutters that I bought specifically for working on wires in cars, since a lot of times you barely have any room to get your hands in there. If I can find them, I'll put a link to them in the description, but they're excellent if you're doing any sort of automotive electrical work. So these are just some wire strippers that I got from Harbor Freight, and I found they're really good for stripping thicker gauge wires that are a bit newer. On these old, really thin wires, they were just cutting through the copper. So you'll see I'll end up switching to the smaller wire strippers that I have because they do a lot better job on this kind of wire, even if it's a little bit more tedious. Alright, so if that's all wired up correctly, I believe I should be able to plug this in, and when I switch the ignition on, hopefully the radio comes on. Hey, would you look at that? Alright. So I can see with everything plugged in, it's all working. Doesn't really sound that good. Sounds good enough, I guess. Alright, so that was enough for me for the night. I'm heading in, but looks like somebody is not quite done in here. So now I'm going ahead and get these speakers installed. So the Acty only has one speaker from the factory in the passenger door. For some reason they didn't put one in the driver door, even though there is a space for one. But I am going to be putting two speakers, one in the passenger and one in the driver door. So to do that, I do got to get this door card off, and you can see that I'm struggling pretty hard getting this window crate out. This was kind of a pain in the ass. But we'll go ahead and get those installed now. one thing you do gotta note when installing aftermarket speakers and Acty is that you do need to install some sort of spacer for the speakers to fit. Otherwise, when you put them in, they're gonna hit the window when you roll it down. So I got these spacers 3D printed from a file that I found online. I'll link that in the description. You can also buy these 3D printed from a couple places online. I found it was a little bit cheaper to go ahead and get the file and get them 3D printed to add a local shop. So like I mentioned, there's no speaker in the driver's side from the factory, but funny enough, there still is plastic plugs where there would be wires run through the door like the passenger side. So to run a wire for the speaker, all I did was I removed these plastic plugs from both the door and the body side, drilled a hole just big enough to run the wires through, and just fished them on through there to get those wires run into the car to the radio. Okay, so as far as wiring this driver speaker, this was really difficult to catch on camera just because it was all up in there and it was kind of a pain in the ass. So filming it, getting a good shot wasn't really my main priority, but basically what I did is there's this plug here and then there's one on the door as well. I pried those out and I drilled a hole through each of them and just ran the wire through that hole. And then basically I pulled off the cover for the brake master cylinder here and just kind of fished the wire over through the other side. A lot easier said than done. It was really a pain in the ass, but I did get it over there. So I'm going to finish up the last wires here, get everything plugged in, and make sure it all works. Alright, moment of truth. Does it turn on? It does turn on. Now hopefully when I actually start playing some music, it'll come through both speakers. And I have sound out of the left one and sound out of the right one. That's pretty good. So I guess I can reassemble this bitch now finally. Alright, so it's working, which is pretty nice. I like that. I went ahead and tested all the features on here and it seems to be working good. Took it for a test drive, no cutouts from the speakers or anything. So I think we're in good shape here.